And we're back. Welcome, one and all, to more midweek muster action. That's right, game number 2, the very first series ever for the KP midweek muster. We've got Mr. Warrior trying again, this time with another Middle Eastern civ, the Ayyubids on Coastal Cliffs. Anan whipping out the Byzantines. I'm pretty sure that there should be like OP someone the name for these guys. Really strong civ overall. And on a map like this, we've seen Byzantines perform really well, especially when this happens. Oh my god, you can tell that Anan has been scrimming a lot with Marine Lord because his spawns are rubbing off on him. Double berry back, deer as well, gold... Okay, is there anything he doesn't have here? This is pretty brutal for Mr. Warrior in a situation where he's already back up against the wall. Reminder, folks, that this is a single elimination format. So, if he loses this game, Mr. Warrior is out of the KP midweek muster. On top of that, he will not be automatically invited back for the second week. Only the top 16 will automatically return or be invited to return for sequential weeks. The remaining 16 have to qualify through ladder play. So yeah, Mr. Warrior might have to go do that again at this rate because this is looking pretty rough. Ayyubid versus Byzantines isn't a great matchup for Ayyubid's either. I think Anan in particular has shown a really cool way of beating the crap out of Ayyubids. However, that way isn't as feasible here. So you guys might recall a particular game between Anan and Vortex in tournament where he completely starved Vortex off the map by playing Sipahi Byzantines. Cool idea in theory, but for a start, RNG is not on his side, and for another thing, this trade post is really far away. So there might be some hope for Mr. Warrior. I think also Ayyubid players have gotten a lot better at playing feudal age recently. Difficult to do into Byzantines, at least in the opening minutes, because Byzantines are so strong with their mercenary bump. But it is feasible. Grand Winery is going to be being set up. Other side, what are we doing here? Like Growth Wing? I think you have to play Growth Wing to contest the age, right? Especially with the Fort spawning gold, that's kind of tricky. Berries as well, yeah, so kind of scammed on the spawns if I'm being totally real here. Desert Raiders. So this is tough, guys. By going for the Desert Raider contract, actually, like, what Anan can do is just play Javelins. Javelins plus, like, what? You could probably go Spears if you want to go really early pressure. Horsemen can also work really well. And good idea, Chim. Let me quickly mod you. Wait, I don't want to ban Chim. Let me give him the swords. In fact, I just realized, because we joined this like 30 seconds or so late, we can speed up the minute as they tech up. I'm curious what Mr. Warrior's plan is here, though. Anan, he's got 11 sheep. A lot more for Mr. Warrior here at 16, rather. But at the moment, in this matchup, you kind of have to play the age a bit. Opening with Desert Raiders doesn't really make much sense unless you're fast castling, so he's going to have to, what, set up outposts. But if this is Javelins or Longbows, you can get blocked. And considering it's Stables drop, we might be seeing Longbows. It does work quite well. Javelins will be a better counter directly to the Ayyubid Desert Raiders. But Longbows will be better at reaching in beyond these outposts. And you can already see Mr. Warrior was trying to set this up here. Give you mod, you'll update bracket. I do need to get some new mods. I am able to pay you nothing. Hope that's good enough. So Stables is usually indicative of Longbows, guys. The reason is that if you build Stables and then build Javelins, you're countering the same units, right? It doesn't make sense. So these counter range, Javelins counter range. If you go Longbows, you actually counter most things. The only thing that makes me think maybe we could still see Javelins is Camel Riders are really good against Ayyubids and Castle Age. And on top of that, you don't really see many Ayyubid players building spears. It's almost taboo to them to have to do so. And considering we have the stable drop on the way, I think Horsemen plus the Javs would probably make a lot more sense if Anan. We'll find out soon enough. Grand Winery, of course, is going to accelerate him towards the first Merc pretty swiftly here. I like that Anan seems to be kind of waiting to see what his opponent does first before he chooses the mercenaries. Give me mods so I can become corrupt and rogue. Sorry, mate. We aren't a D&D experience. Mercenary House now coming up. So this is, what, massing Desert Raiders with Horsemen to assist. I like the Horseman element. You don't want to build too many Desert Raiders here. The reason is you need Horsemen to take the hits from the Byzantine horses. awkward start here as Mr. Warrior does get baited out of position. We'll commit in, though. So good little min-max here as Anatan does peel back. I believe we are about to see what the mercenary choice is going to be. Scout will know the timing as well. Has to be jabs, right? No, he's going to go longbows. I thought he might lean jabs just because of the mobility against the horsemen. But longbows do make sense, right? It's also, if you think about it, horsemen in your face, what's better, longbows or jabs? Longbows because you can mass numbers quicker. So if you get that blob, you can't be fully surrounded as easily. It is a little bit slower, sure, but it's also just more reliable as the game goes on. Like, if you think about it, if you've got 25 jabs or 25 longbows, which one scales better into Castle Age? I think most players would agree it's just going to be longbows. All right, one's if you think Anatan's going to win this. Two's if you think Mr. Warrior might be cooking. I think if Mr. Warrior can start intercepting reinforcements, he has a chance here. But if he just stands here and mass cav, it kind of defeats the point of even building horsemen in the first place. Remember, like horsemen, if you're just going to stand them at home, not moving them, you might as well build things like spears, archers, right? The whole value in this unit is cutting enemy reinforcements and moving around the map. Let's be the horseman. This is the type of moves I want to see. He dives in. We'll be able to extract a villager kill there. Anatan only losing one pony, essentially, for it, right? Because he's down to 1 HP. Man, this is brutal. And these are indeed best of threes. So, guys, the format is going to be best of threes all the way through to the semi-finals, which will be best of fives. And then the finals will be a best of 7. So, Warrior is at least moving up now, which is what we wanted out of him. He doesn't have many horsemen here, though. Kind of needs to dive onto the Lombo straight away, but the hesitation sets in, loses a Desert Raider. Could end up losing 2 here. In fact, Mr. Warrior playing with fire there for a second. Wait, what? Okay, mistakes made. Mr. Warrior now playing blind on the map. Desert Raiders at least have a bit more vision than things like Horsemen, so it's not terrible. But it does make it much harder to know what your opponent is up to. And you need to know, because Anatan was starting to stop our resources. For all you know, he could be making a Castle Age play here. Horsemen are going to poke and peel. Anatan now confident with the damage he's done. He starts to shuffle up. We have got Limitane being added in. I kind of like what Anatan's doing here, right? From this position, you could probably quite safely play Castle, but when your opponent's massing Horsemen, Desert Raiders, you're just going to give them map control. So what do you really get out of a Castle Rush? Playing a longer feudal now with the edge you've got, the extra Oliver bumping in to give you those Lombos, it can only end in good things for you here, especially with Steel Darren now coming in. Just much quicker to now get these kills, and the outpost not up for Mr. Warrior. That might be all she wrote, guys. This might be a very quick game, too. The gold. This is cursed. All right, so remember, Mr. Warrior, when you watch this later and you agree on the complaints of the spawns, we blame Tune. I'm sorry, Tune. Tune, you didn't read the small print on when we hired you as an admin. It was written in there. You take all blame. Yeah, this is just unfortunate, man. I feel for Mr. Warrior. It's almost like you want an ELO, like an ELO handicap, where Mr. Warrior should have got an Anatan spawn. And Anatan should have got Mr. Warriors. Mining camp. Gonna be lost. That's not the biggest deal, though. It's just the fact he can't access gold now. Wall on the backside is at least nice to stop those rotations. But he actually needs to gain some ground. I mean, you already see Anatan is checking on that eastern flank. So Anno's starting to save up. This makes sense. At this stage in the game, you go Castle. You've gold staffed your opponent. He's stuck playing the Age. You can just get ahead of him here. Is there any schedule what games you'll cast and when? So that gets a little bit tricky, I'll try to keep people updated because some of these games will play and then I'll cast them afterwards. But you'll be able to catch me casting live Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays most weeks. And then, of course, Thursdays will be Grand Finals. But I'll probably look to save one of the semi-finals to cast as we build up to those Grand Finals. Dive comes in. Horseman easily able to swarm on this. Just needs to focus down the Desert Raiders. Remember, you're losing damage if you attack Horseman into Horseman. The more important thing is Mr. Warrior's not getting out of his base, right? Like, he is not intercepting what's really happening here, which is just going to be the tech up in about 30 seconds. Outpost attempt. Another villager going down. Mr. Warrior. I mean, props to him, right? He came on for a series that could potentially take 2 hours. He's not going to GG out immediately. What's the ELO range from 16 ladder ELO-based players? It can vary. So, like, Mr. Warrior is ranked 400th right now, but obviously the first season was always going to be tricky with this because we started at the beginning of Season 9, and not all the top players have played the ranked games yet, right? So Mr. Warrior is usually around a 2,000 ranked player, which, I mean, can we just agree it's impressive that he's doing as well as he is, considering that huge gap between the two. That game one in particular, if it hadn't been for that one Shinobi slip-up where he missed the Shinobi that killed half his economy, which I know sounds like a big deal, but in the grand scheme of things is a small detail to slip through until it becomes big. Like, he was actually beating Anatan up to that point. He had good control. So, I don't know. About to complete the tech up. At that point, Mr. Warrior's going to have to make a move. He has got archers massing, which isn't too bad here against what exists. The problem is what's coming next. Anatan is probably prepping double racks. Already has one down, right? You should be adding in a second here. And then the Varangian pump begins. Walls are going up. So Mr. Warrior has at least secured gold now. The problem is he's going to have a hard hold ahead of him. That's wild. Anatan is building cataphracts against Desert Raiders. I mean, it's not bad, right? Similar to the logic of like why you could build Varangian here. Your opponent has mass archers. We're a little bit surprised that he went Katas instead of Varangian. It is efficient use of your production buildings, but then again, he's not using the racks. No, Jiggly, you've done enough to this game already. I'm already seeing cataphracts. Wall not going to be going up here. Outpost not safe either. Mr. Warrior doesn't even try to hide inside it. So 2 villagers will shuffle inside. 6 have to leave. Once these spearmen are in place, this outpost is basically dead. Weird that we're actually not seeing Anatan dive it, but of course he doesn't know what's happening behind this, how many troops are out to defend. Horseman raid coming in the meantime as Anatan will have to shuffle off of his psalms gradually here. He's massing up defensive troops. We have got the first Varangian starting to pump out. Cataphract should be close by to assist. However, I think Anatan might be more interested in getting an aggressive trade here. Bet Lombo's in position. Villagers being sniped. Oh, dude, this is painful. You can't even contest with the Desert Raiders. Look how quickly they die. It's the Warrior. It's not as bad as the Shinobi, man. Like, look at the positive sides. What that Shinobi done in game one was far more egregious. Horsemen are at least able to deal with the pony on the other side of the Cataphract. Yeah, no, the Cataphract will win that fight. No doubt about it. The bigger problem here is Mr. Warrior is nowhere near a tech up. I guess this is a good opportunity to kind of advertise how you guys can get involved, as we're looking at what's becoming quite a stomp now. Guys, if you want to participate in this, you want to be in with a chance, you have to make sure you go across the KPMM hub, so KP's midweek muster on Start GG. You can register your interest. You could be like Mr. Warrior right here, bent over a barrel in front of Anatan, hoping to improve. This whole single circle is all about improvement, right? It's about giving 30 opportunities across the next 30 weeks to upcoming potential players like Mr. Warrior to fight against some of the best in the game in tournament formats on tournament maps to improve. And although Mr. Warrior may be destroyed today, who knows, 10 weeks, 15 weeks, 20 weeks from now, he could be the one with the table tennis paddle spanking Anatan across the table. We'll just have to find out. Cheers for tuning in. I'll see you all in the next video.